Hey, what's good, gamers? Aquilon here, and of course, welcome back to each and every one of you. I am in pain. Yesterday was leg day, the day before that was chest day, and I'm not entirely sure which part of my body is more sore. I just know everything is a little sore at this point. But anyways, I wanted to talk about, well, World of Warcraft. Who would have guessed? No, I genuinely want to talk about World of Warcraft because we had a similar conversation with Plunderstorm and the announcement of Plunderstorm, and now Blizzard seems to just be going over the top. Like, seriously, Blizzard seems to be cooking, and they're just throwing everything into the cooking pot and seeing what works. So I want to talk about all of that. I already did a live reaction to this. That should be live already by the time you're watching this video, at least. It should already be live. But I want to talk now a little bit more about the philosophical part of this and why this is such good news for the future of WoW. Now, first and foremost, what sparks this? Well, Plunderstorm, for one. But then secondly, the new Mist of Pandaria remix that is coming in 10.2.7. Now, obviously, as you can imagine, there is, again, people that are quite upset. There are people that is really upset about the fact that Season 4 doesn't really seem to get anything new. Instead, this is this new game mode that is very much like Plunderstorm, very separate to the rest of the game. While you will be logged into World of Warcraft and you will start a character, that character will have a very unique experience that cannot be had anywhere else in World of Warcraft. And as you can imagine, again, people are a little bit upset. Now, to the people that are upset, and I'm sure there's quite a few of you that is watching this at this moment in time, allow me to explain something, because I think a lot of the time, World of Warcraft for such a long time played it so incredibly safe. Blizzard had a couple of things that they knew how to do well. That was raiding and dungeons. They kind of knew that that works, and they know how to make those really, really fun. And then they had PvP, which sometimes was hit or miss, but it was still a core pillar of the game. And very rarely did Blizzard venture outside of these core pillars. They would have, every single expansion would have a couple of patches with some kind of end zone or some kind of end activity that was usually just a variation of the Timeless Isles or Isles of Thunder. But most of the time, what you would get is, well, basically the same thing. And that worked for a long time. And you kind of understand why Blizzard did what they did. They were one of the largest MMOs in the world. They're still one of the largest MMOs in the world. And when you are that large, taking chances, like really trying to go outside of your comfort zone, has a number of downsides and no real potential upsides except theoretical. You can't know what the upsides are going to be until you actually do it. And if you do it and it is a failure, that's a big problem because you've just pissed off a significant portion of your player base and you really don't want to do that. The issue, of course, is by doing nothing and playing it incredibly safe, eventually your player base gets a little bored. Some people start playing other games. Some people start playing less and less until they just stop playing altogether. You kind of need to keep innovating. You need to keep doing things that's new and exciting and fresh. Sadly, that does mean that not all of the players are going to be happy every single time. And that's what we saw with Plunderstorm. That's what we saw and is seeing currently with Mist of Pandaria's remix. To those that are upset, allow me to explain that this is normal. And this is actually how an MMO should be made. Not every activity in an MMO can appeal to every single player of an MMO. Just think about the amount of players that play World of Warcraft that do things in the game that you don't ever do. People that maybe collect mounts and you don't care about mounts. People that maybe do dungeons and you never do dungeons. People that maybe raid and you never raid. People that PvP and you never PvP. All of these players play the game in their own way because the game allows them to play the game in their own way. This means that any new piece of content that you design is automatically going to exclude some players and include others. And there really isn't anything you can do about that. You can try to make a piece of content and try to make that piece of content really appeal to everyone, but then you end up with something like Torghast, where the only way they could really make Torghast appeal to everyone is by placing legendaries within it. This meant that a bunch of people that hated Torghast were forced to do it. If you didn't have the legendaries there, people wouldn't do it unless they really enjoyed that type of content. And it also would give Blizzard a lot more freedom to really evolve and build that specific type of content. So I want you to not look at Mist of Pandaria Remix or at Plunderstorm as a piece of content that I now must do. Yes, Blizzard is making certain mistakes with this content, like, for example, adding cosmetics to Plunderstorm, I think was a really bad idea, just because the types of players that would love something like Plunderstorm and the types of players that love collecting cosmetics, that crossover is probably going to be relatively small, because a lot of the cosmetic players tend to play solo. They tend to go and do old raids and old dungeons. They very much take part in PvE activities, not so much PvP activities. And that's definitely something that Blizzard can learn from, and Blizzard can adapt, and they can ultimately evolve the content to a place where it fits everyone's needs and everyone enjoys it. What we should be celebrating Blizzard for is their immaculate sense of adventure. The fact that Blizzard is willing to try new things. The fact that Blizzard is willing to throw out the old blueprint and say, you know what? What if we did do something like a remix? How could that work? And while, yes, it's not a new dungeon or a new raid or a new zone in the current expansion, we have all of these old activities and old content in World of Warcraft that's just sitting there. And why can't we use that in order to, while it won't make it current content, it definitely serves a purpose of utilizing that content that's been, made. It's already there. You just need to access it, and you need to give players a reason to go back and enjoy it. So we should actually celebrate this. Now, where do I think, and, this wouldn't be a WoW video without me obviously criticizing a little bit, but criticisms are normal. It's not because I hate the game or the developers. It's because whenever you do something, there is going to be downsides to the thing that you're doing. And it's up to people like myself and you guys on the forums to complain and say, hey, this would actually be better if you did this. I don't like the FOMO element of what Blizzard is doing. I love the fact that they're doing it. I think the FOMO part of it really isn't good, because it sort of promotes very degenerative game designs or gameplay, where now people have to spam it because it is going away. But more importantly, and this is what I didn't discuss during the live stream and my live reaction to this, what it really does is highlight the amount of people that must partake in it in order to get stuff, even if it's not the type of content that they enjoy. And it also highlights the exclusivity of the content. If, for example, you're a PvPer, now you have this brand new zone that is coming out, this remix thing, but you don't really want to do it because it's mostly just PvE stuff. There's very little for you as a PvPer to enjoy in there. But since it's limited time, you kind of feel like you must, because, it's going to go away. But then when the next expansion or when the next big thing comes around and it's maybe a bit more PvP focused, that's again the only thing that is out there. And if you're not really into PvP, it's something to do, even if it's not something that you want to do. Whereas if you remove the FOMO element of it, if you brought the remix experience and you said that this is now a full-scale, always-on experience, it is a lovely way for you to level new characters if you so choose. And then once the character hits max level, you can literally take the character over to just be a normal character. You could eventually maybe adapt it to where actual characters can go through the remix system, and then their character will sort of convert back to being a remix character for people that want to try new things or maybe try new builds and have some fun in there. Just make an entire zone that is always there, always available, so that now when the next Plunderstorm launches or the next pet battle system launches, the PvEers still have remix. The PvPers still have Plunderstorm, and now the pet guys have something that they can do. So there's far less reason to complain, because it's not the only thing that's in the game. There's plenty of things in the game. You can do the things that you like, and you can ignore the things that you do not. But ultimately, what excites me about this, and this is the same thing that I'll say from my Plunderstorm video, and I'll nail this to the wall, because I think people need to start celebrating the fact that Blizzard is doing this. It shows tremendous amounts of guts for Blizzard to go so far outside of their own comfort zones with this content. But then also, the real value of this is in the experimentation that it is going to allow. Imagine for a second the new meta gems system. And for those of you that don't quite understand what I'm talking about, the meta gems are actual abilities that you'll be getting as you put those meta gems into your gear. You'll access new abilities that will do insane things. Some will increase crit chance, but also then do a shit ton of damage, turn you into a ball of absolute chaos, and you're just going around giving everyone a debuff that increases your shadow damage for 10 seconds, and after 4 seconds it explodes and basically does a crap ton of damage to everyone around it. So you have this, these abilities that really make your class seem very unique to you and how you want to play it. Now imagine, for example, if Mythic Plus gear started to come with meta gems. So now, if you're a Mythic Plus player, you have access to all of these gems that actually changes the way you play the dungeon. It changes the way you and your group tries to play the dungeon. It actually now opens up, sort of metas for non-meta comps to start doing these dungeons, because they can fix a lot of their downsides with meta gems. All of this is possibilities of stuff that Blizzard can do. PvP, you can have meta gems become a thing in PvP, raiding, and each of these will be unique to the activity in which you unlock it, so that you do get a lot more flavor and differences between the different game modes of World of Warcraft. So every single time you try something new, it's fresh and it feels a little bit fresher. And there's new things for you to acquire, new things for you to hunt and try to incorporate within your game. Fundamentally, ladies and gentlemen, these things should not be lamented. We should not be angry at Blizzard when they try to do new things. We should celebrate. We should say thank you. We should still criticize when we think that there are better things that they could be doing, or we like the idea, but we think the execution isn't quite there. Yes, we should provide that feedback. But do not immediately shut the door and just be like, I will not have this. I am a PvPer. What is there for me to do in this mode? Well, not everything can be made for you. And I'm not just talking to the PvPers here. To everyone. Not everything in WoW can be made for you. Some things will just not be for you. And as long as there is enough things for everyone to do, it doesn't matter. This is the only problem, is the FOMO part of it. Blizzard removes that. If that eventually goes away, I think we're in for a wild ride, because there are plenty of expansions, plenty of zones where stuff like this can really be fun, and we can really have a whale of a time engaging with stuff like this. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of your hair. Let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about the future of World of Warcraft with stuff like Remix, with stuff like Plunderstorm. Let me know. I'd love to read your thoughts in the comment section down below. Then, as always, like the video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't, and for $1 a month, you too can help keep this channel free from sponsorships that want to sell you shit that you do not need. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, be kind to each other, be good to each other, and I shall see all of you in the next one. Peace!